Hi friends. If you click to check out the new Burberry Essentials Glow Palette in both Harmonies 1 and 2, then please keep on watching. Hi, I'm Alicia. If it's your first time here, thank you so much for clicking on my video. And if you are returning, well, thank you for visiting me again. Kinky Sweat stands for my kinky hair and sweat life. I'm a fitness professional who loves things all movement and beauty. If you want to check out what I do in between the makeup, so get head over to my Instagram. I would also like to mention that one of our Lux buds is also reviewing these two palettes. A huge thank you to Mo Makeup More Beauty for working with me. I would say this is like a collaboration, but I always like to mention other channels, especially in the luxury realm, are other beauty creators on the brown tone spectrum reviewing luxury palettes, especially complexion ones, because I feel there's sometimes a limited resource online when it comes to finding out if the shade's gonna work for you. You know what I'm saying? I proposed to Mo Makeup Mo Beauty that maybe we do the Burberry palettes together. She could review them and provide some insight in terms of if you are around her shade match, and Monique will have her foundation shades in her description box for reference if you need to find that out. If you're around my skin tone, you could see if these will work for you. One of them, both of them, none of them. That's also an option. And I will make sure to link her channel and video down below so you could check it out, and all her other luxury beauty reviews. She recently did the Marc Jacobs Cherry palette, which I have not picked up, but Monique, why do you want me to have it now? So with that said, if you are looking to check out this baby right here, I've dabbled in Burberry makeup, Burberry Cosmetics, I don't know which one it is. I think I have tried their foundation, if not their liquid highlighter. I forgot. I might be lying, I'm not quite sure. I do have two of their compacts. These are the standard compact designs for their cheek products. I have a highlighter and a blush. Probably the most notable feature about Burberry makeup is the design. You have the quintessential Burberry check, which is basically the hallmark of Burberry design. And if you don't know what Burberry is, well, the line was started in the 1850s by Thomas Burberry. I'm gonna try this again because my grammar is atrocious. Thomas Burberry started his line in the 1850s and wanted to create outerwear that protected people from the British weather. He then created a fabric called gabardine that was a woven twill that was very durable, weatherproof, but breathable and lightweight, which a lot of outerwear at the time was not lightweight. It was not comfortable to wear, but it was required if you didn't want to get wet and you wanted to stay warm. And then we roll into the 1900s where the tie lock and coat was born. And this is all from the Burberry website, by the way. They had a nice little timeline. I'm just, you know, giving you the spark notes of it. This tie lock and coat is said to be the predecessor of the classic trench coat. It was closed just with a single strap, any buckle fastening, and just had the button at the collar, which was like the classic touch. So every time I think Burberry, I think function and chic style. And I believe Burberry dropped their makeup line in 2013. You could check me up on that. This perhaps was the first product that really was like at my heartstrings, because face palettes from luxury brands, I don't know, something about the presentation and just the whole package that just really pulls me in, and I go willingly. There's no resistance whatsoever. Here I have the palettes packaged in the paper bags that they came in the box, and you can see that it very much takes on that gabardine, Alicia, it's pronounced gabardine. So they're very consistent with how they present what Burberry is about in terms of legacy. They take it all away from the packaging to the makeup, as you will see in a moment. I feel it very much reminds me of a Burberry coat. Like they wrapped the palettes in its own trench tie lock and coat. Okay, I think it is very clever. And now you can see here that the Burberry check is very much etched here on the lid, and the mirrored finish is beautiful. Even the box is the color of their trench coats and most of their outerwear. So again, the attention to detail is exquisite. Some actual product details. We're looking at the price. Each palette is $90, but you do get 6 products. I have to hold this little guy because unfortunately the pan became dislodged, and if you can figure out how to glue back in these types of gelée type of powders, I'll be so grateful for that advice. And like, really, Alicia? Your pan's broken and you paying that much money? I think it's the nature of the product, friends. Unfortunately, when products get mailed and shipped, they might be thrown around, and these are very delicate. So maybe Burberry just needed to do a little bit of a better job packing these, you know what I'm saying? Back to the product details, my apologies. Each palette weighs in at 15.5 grams of product or 0.54 ounces of product. That equals to around 2.58 grams or 0.09 ounces for each pan. The suggested shelf life for these palettes is 18 months and both products are made in Italy. And you got 1 cream product and 5 powder products. Let's start rolling these swatches, shall we? Introducing Essentials Glow Palette, our new 3-in-1 face palette in radiant tones to instantly sculpt, color, and highlight. With comfortable cream and delicate powder formulas, the lightweight textures blend onto the skin to effortlessly create endless glowy looks with customizable intensity. Available in 2 harmonies to suit all skin tones, contouring cream and powder textures, luminous blush tones, buildable highlight powders. We're looking at a cashmere soft powder that is soft focused and offers a smoothing effect. Light reflecting pearlescent pigments capture the light for a gorgeous complexion, and emollient esters give soft, comfortable feel to the skin. I wanted to quickly compare the highlight that I have to some of the highlights in the palettes, and again, all timestamps will be down below. Just want to let you know. The shade I have here is Rose Gold 04, and this is more of like a soft powder formula, whereas the one from the palette I feel is more of a gel to powder formula. And I think the shade that best represents the Rose Gold are the ones found in the medium dark palette. So I will swatch the more Rose Gold one under the champagne tone one. And you see this might have a little bit more of a champagne, and the Rose Gold has a little more pink. And here's a champagne shade from medium dark, and you can see that it takes on definitely more of a champagne hue. The shades from the light medium I think are very light in comparison. I'll swatch the more silvery highlight. Definitely vastly different from the Rose Gold compact. And the pinkier highlight here, again, significantly lighter than that highlighter. And the powder product that I have, look, I like barely use this. The brush is still in its plastic sleeve. I'm ridiculous. Hydragea Pink number 10 Light Glow Natural Blush. I just could not stay away from this beautifully embossed powder pan. Just the whole representation again from Burberry is heavenly, most definitely. Like, you know you have a Burberry product. It's undeniable. Quickly swatching Hydragea. Now this is more of a powder finish, whereas the blushes found in these palettes have more of like that gel to powder texture. I'll swatch both the powders from medium dark. We got the coral one here on the top, so that's next to Hydragea, which is a lot more peachier in hue, and the warmer pink right under it is more of an actual pink, but you can see the finish, how that is significantly more matte, and the blushes from the palettes have more sheen to them. I wanted to demo the cream contours first in order to get an idea of their undertones. I scooped out the cream and warmed the cream on the back of my hand and used my Koyudo brush to buff the product into my skin. The one from Fair Light Medium has a slightly warmed undertone but still appeared somewhat neutral, whereas the one from Medium Dark is more tawny, almost ruddy. I definitely need to use a lighter hand with the Medium Dark shade, but it still presents a lovely color. I think the contour cream texture is very easy to use. It leaves behind a beautiful natural finish, but it leans more on the side of a soft matte texture. Because of that, it's not as emollient and therefore it doesn't slip around as much, which I feel lends more control to the user when applying the product. So I feel it's ideal, especially if you're normal to oily. If you are a drier skin type, I would highly recommend that you apply the cream contour maybe on unset foundation, or perhaps use a foundation that's slightly dewier in finish. I know I got the B-roll, but I want to bring you a little closer anyway. That's enough. Wanted to show another demo applying the cream product from the medium dark palette, because I've been working with it and I think it's just a matter of finding the right brush, because it does provide more intensity than what the cream contour offers from the light medium palette, but I like the shade. It works. So scooped some here, you can see the color again. And just to quickly show, this is what the cream contour shade from the light medium palette looks like. They both have a lot of richness to them, but you see as you blend out the light medium contour cream, that warmth come through, whereas I feel the one from medium dark is a little more neutral. Dare I say, like a little more tawny, as I described earlier. Taking the medium dark shade, and again, it's not super emollient. It has like that cream to powder finish, dare I say. And buffing the cream in with my Ray Morris #2 brush. This is her goat hair edition brush before she switched to synthetic, so you could use a synthetic brush for this application, no problem. And again, it looks deeper in the swatch, but I think it has a really nice color on the skin. And if you wanted to quickly see the cream from the light medium palette, it has a slightly warmer tone to it. I do like both, and if you're wondering between the two, and if you're my skin tone, I would go with the medium dark simply because I much prefer the tones of the highlighter and blush. But you'll see all that in the demo coming up. And here's a look at the texture after the cream contour has been blended. It doesn't feel overly dry, nor does it feel overly emollient. I feel it's just right for a cream contour product. Then with my Sonia G Smooth Buffer brush, I pressed the Sculpt powder from the light medium palette onto the cream contour, and it appeared to add some nice sheen to the cream, and of course it also lightly set it. I do the same thing on the medium to dark side with the Sculpt powder, but it definitely, as you see, adds noticeable intensity. I had to blend that out a lot more than the first side simply because it was a deeper shade, so the light to medium side I feel is more appropriate match for my skin tone. But as I said before, I could definitely make the medium to dark palette work for me in terms of how I apply, what light hand I use, and what brush I use. Now we move on to these highlighters. I use my Sonia G Mini Cheek to apply that white silvery shade from the light to medium palette, and it definitely appears light. I thought, however, it still applied fairly smooth. Then I applied the pinky tone highlight lower to detect any differences in undertone, and I buffed both highlighters together with my smooth buffer, and that helped melt the highlighters further into my skin. I think the undertone is light by itself, but the highlight effect is gorgeous. It really provides nice beautiful glow and luminosity, even though the shades are a little light for my skin tone, I feel. The highlighter from the medium dark palette has a champagne undertone, which I feel is more suitable for my skin tone, and it doesn't appear as stark. Then applying which appears to be a rose gold shade underneath, lower on my cheek, and I buffed both afterwards, and here are both sides of the highlighters. I felt they both layer on smoothly and they appear gorgeously bright. To quickly just put on the Sculpt powder, I know you already saw the demo, but you know how I like to just demo you to death, okay? Taking the smooth buffer again, this is the Sculpt powder from the light to medium palette, and then I just press that on to the cream contour, and you see it doesn't add any significant depth or intensity, but it does add a nice sheen because the powder itself I feel has a really nice glow to it, and when you apply this on the skin and buff it in, it leaves behind a really nice glow. It leaves behind a really nice radiant finish. But going into this powder, you see it's significantly deeper, so you know what, I'll actually switch brushes and go in with my Chikuhodo T4 brush. It's a longer bristle. I feel it won't pick up as much product, and just lightly buff that onto the cream contour side from the medium dark palette. And you saw in the demo I applied way too much, and here I find that if you just again apply the right amount, it's good. I do feel you have to be careful because you have the possibility of moving that cream contour shade, so I have to go back and buff that into my skin so it could appear a little more even. So I would suggest you either go in with the cream contour or the Sculpt powder, because if you apply both of them, I feel you have to tap on the powder and not swirl the powder on because you could dismantle the contour cream. So again, this is the light medium side, this is the medium dark side, and in this demo I actually hop back into the sculpting powders, but I apply them on their own without the contour cream. The light to medium Sculpt powder is very light and it presents a very soft sculpt. I use my smooth buffer to pick up more product than I would with a longer bristle brush, and applying the medium to dark Sculpt, it lays on more product but not as intensely. And again, if you're on my skin tone, I would still go with the medium dark palette, because although the light medium offers a very soft contour and maybe not as intimidating as this shade in terms of you having to use a lighter hand, I do think overall the color story that is presented here in the medium dark palette just meshes better well with my complexion. Now onto these blush shades. I used Sonia's Soft Cheek to apply the blush shades and started with the light medium palette. The pinky hue, although cool in undertone, has a lovely soft violet sheen to it. The glow doesn't appear chalky and I think looks even more beautiful when I added the second blush shade. This one had a little more warmth, but I was happy to discover that the shades didn't clash. They were very harmonious. And I followed up with the two highlighters, but this time combining the shades with a lighter hand and a smaller brush. And I found that this was a more more appropriate application to make these tones work. So if you insisted on buying the light medium palette and you're like, we don't know, those highlighter shades could look really icy, I would say combine them and maybe use a smaller brush and a natural hair that's maybe dyed or squirrel that doesn't pick up as much highlighter, because a heavier brush will lay on a lot of product and it will look chalky on the skin if you're my skin tone or deeper. I experienced the same beautiful application with the medium dark blushes, and this one left a just gorgeous peachy gold sheen behind when blended into the skin. And the pinkier, warmer blush tone definitely added more flush, but further enhanced that coral hue on my cheeks. I apply the highlighters with my Wayne medium brush again like I did with the light medium palette, and they married well with the blush tones. Here's a look at both sides, and as much as I think the blush shades from the light medium palette are beautiful, I much prefer the coral peachy compilation from the medium dark palette. And the highlighters I also feel mesh better with my skin tone. I applied more with my soft cheek on both apples of my cheeks to add more dimension and just to kind of help you see the colors of the blushes and their differences better. With my Wayne medium brush again, I'll combine the highlighters from the light medium palette, light medium side respectively, and you see the tone of the highlight, but I feel if you use a teardrop brush, you could get really nice brightness from it, but it's very silvery. You know what I mean? However, the texture when buffed into the skin is beautifully smooth. But if you're a little lighter than me and you were wondering between the two and you prefer cooler tone highlighters, then I would get light medium. And this blush is the one with that beautiful violet sheen that, you know, I thought would appear a little too cool tone, but it looks really nice on the cheeks. And the slightly warmer blush here is more of a truer pink tone, but again, layered on top of one another, they look really nice. And I don't know if you can detect that violet. It's not strong duochrome, but I feel the shift is beautifully soft, very subtle, and it leaves a gorgeous glow on the cheeks. Same thing here from medium dark. This is the coral shade. And again, it's just these tones I feel work better on my skin tone, so I will deal with the deeper contour shade most definitely. And again, these textures have like that sheen, so they're gonna leave the cheeks beautifully glowy. I'm hitting both blush shades from the light medium because I just want to get a little more punch here so you could better see the colors again. So here's light medium with the contours, cream, Sculpt powder, 2 blushes and 2 highlights. Oh, but we got to do the highlights on this side. Hitting both again with my Wayne medium and then tapping lightly on the cheekbones. Again, I feel the medium dark is just a better fit for me. Because the powders have like that sheen to them, you might see a little more texture than you would a matte. But when you buff these in, I feel they just become really smooth and just leave behind beautiful glow on the complexion. You could keep this as is, but if you want to take full advantage of your face palette, I would then apply these textures on the eyes, which is what we're gonna do right now. You can set your lids first, but since I'm going in with a cream product, I thought I could rely on the cream product to be our base, so to speak. Taking my BK Beauty 202 brush, lightly brushing in the cream contour from light medium. Look at this beautiful mirror. It goes all the way back too, and it holds itself up very nice. Buffing that cream into the crease, and again, since this is a cream to powder dry down, I feel you could use as little or as much as you like. You could start lighter than I did. I picked up a lot of product, but I think it's such a beautiful shade on the eyes to wear on its own, or, you know, if you want to add a little more depth on the outer corner, just using this palette. Then with BK Smudger 204, I take the same cream product, but now under the eyes. And again, these cream products have a lot of punch to them, friends. You can even use your finger to just lightly buff. Hopping in the cream contour from medium dark and buffing into the skin. And I think you can better see maybe the differences in undertone between the 2 cream product shades from both palettes. Doing the same thing here, applying the cream on the lower lash line. Taking the Sculpt powder from light medium with my Hydragea Detail Pro, and then buffing the edges of the cream contour a little higher on this eye, because I feel since this powder is significantly lighter than the one presented in the medium dark palette, we could get away with a higher blend. But on this side with my Blender Pro and this Sculpt powder, I'll apply it on the actual lid, not as high because this definitely has more intensity than the one in light medium, and that definitely made it smokier. We're getting smoky. I'm gonna press that on the inner corner too. This might be the evening eye. Feels like we're going there. I'm just using a little bit of the Sculpt powder from light medium to buff out these edges, and also buffing the lower lash line. Now you could keep this as is, slap on some liner and or mascara. You could even slap on one of the highlighter shades from their respective palette onto the lid. I like to apply blush shades on my lids. I just feel it pulls the look together. It just ties in the complexion very well. So with any shader blush, flat shader brush that you have, I'm going with my Worker 1, picking up both blush shades and just whisking those right on the lid. You could do one, you can do both. I'm just doing both because I feel these have such beautiful glow. So to have that dimension added on the lid, I think is really nice. And naturally, we'll take one of the highlighter shades. I'm plopping that on the inner corner. If you feel you want to use your finger, I do think you get more pickup with your finger. And again, in regards to the blush tones, I really love these blush tones on my lid versus the more cooler, like violet pink vibe going on in light medium. But if you're lighter than me, that might be your jam. If you're deeper than me, definitely medium dark for sure. Then taking the rose gold shade on the inner corner for this eye, wrapping that around the inner corner and also on the lower lash line. Let's curl these lashes. No other than Mama's Dark Star. And here's a wide shot of demo number 2 in addition to all the B-roll demos that I presented in this video. And here's a close-up of the texture of my skin. I'm really pleased overall with how the products layer on top of one another. The only mishap, of course, we had was with the cream contour. I would be careful with the brush that you decide to use. Maybe not use a very stiff blush brush, but something with a lot of flow so it doesn't disrupt the cream contour product. I didn't experience that with the cream contour from the light medium side. Maybe it was something with my skin here because I am undergoing a little bit of dryness. I am healing here with my little blemishes, so you know, who knows. After using these palettes several times upon receiving them, getting to know them, you know, applying them in different ways with different brushes, I was actually surprised. But when I think about my experience with Burberry products in the past, I really liked their foundation. I thought it was beautifully soft and just left behind that soft velvet skin finish without looking dry. And as I mentioned before, I think I did try their liquid highlighter and I thought their complexion products, the ones I tried, were exquisite. So it does make sense that they were to release a face palette, it will be marvelous. My thoughts on having two palettes that hit just two huge portions of the skin tone spectrum. You're either gonna be really happy with light medium, really happy with medium dark, or happy with either, or happy with none of them. For someone who's medium tan, I'm definitely on that part of the gradient that can benefit either from the light medium or the medium dark. But overall, after using both palettes, seeing the tones of the blushes, the highlighters, these Sculpt products, I do feel the medium dark side just aligns more with how I like my blush to look, my highlight to look. If you're lighter than me, then maybe light medium will be for you. But I understand even if you're lighter, you might prefer the corally peachy tones in the blush versus the more violet, cooler pink tones in the light medium palette. And if you're deeper than me, I would definitely go with medium dark. These cream contour products, this is the one from medium dark. You can build it up, but it also blends out very nicely, I think. And you could also deepen it by applying the Sculpt powder from medium dark. I would really like to know how this cream contour builds on a deeper skin tone and see what intensity can be built from that product. But on the flip side, I think the cream contour from light medium has a lot of depth for it to be in a light medium palette. So I don't know if you are on the fair light spectrum, that could look a little muddy on you, and I would just rely on the Sculpt powder. And it's kind of strange, you see the huge jump of color from the cream contour to the Sculpt powder, whereas the duo in the medium dark seems to align a little bit better with each other in terms of the shade in the cream contour and the shade in the Sculpt powder. Now remember friends, this is a luxury makeup product. By no means you should feel obligated to buy it. Yes, is the packaging beautiful? Yes, are the products beautiful inside? This definitely presents like that luxury experience from compact to use. And I don't know if you can tell, but even the pans have that fabric like gabardine texture to it. So yes, the products are beautiful, but you're definitely getting like a strong representation of a designer brand in the makeup, the compact, the actual makeup product. If you feel you rather curate your own cheek products from your collection, meaning you want your own bronzer, you want your own blush and highlight in separate products because that's how you feel you best get that complexion, that harmonious complexion, I totally get it. That is the number one limitation with a face palette. You have to deal with the shades provided in those compacts. Some people appreciate that. It takes the thinking out for them, whatever colors they see in the palette they use, versus someone maybe a little more seasoned, or they just rather figure out their own bronzer contour shades, cheek and highlight shades from other products, and create their own cheek routine from the products they already own. Totally up to you, but this video is just to provide some shade references, an idea of how these products work. If you really love Burberry makeup, if your experience with them has been immaculate and you love this face palette, but you are just unsure about the shades, how they would look, which palette to get, hopefully Monique's video and my video will help you with that decision. Let me know if you know about the Burberry face palettes, what you think about them, if you already have them, your experience with them, and all that good stuff. And until then, fam, that is a wrap. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope this video helped. And if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and maybe consider subscribing to my channel. And until then, I'll see you on here again with another review tutorial, face palette demo, b-roll extravaganza, monthly favorites, or nightly live chit chat. Take care, and I will see you again soon.